Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I was asking if the live transmission is started.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد من الله على المؤمنين إذ بعث فيهم رسولا من أنفسهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين أولما أصابتكم مصيبة قد أصبتم مثلها قلتم أنى هذا قل هو من عند أنفسكم إن الله على كل شيء قدير وما أصابكم يوم التقى الجمعان فبإذن الله وليعلم المؤمنين. In ayat ki
So it is saying that we have been reciting these verses the past 2 or 3 days, but we have continued speaking about the first verse, 165. We haven't concluded discussion of that verse. Today, Huzur is saying that the rest of this that subject is going to be presented, which the Shiite commentators have raised, and point by point Huzur is saying as I'm answering them. But before this, yesterday Luqman Ahmad told me that it is his impression and others as well that the discussion about Azar and Tare was so unusual for most of the listeners, because they did not know about its historical background. So he requested that we further clarify what that was all about, because in most minds there seems to be a complication. We were saying that in any case, he was certainly confused about it himself. So this was saying I should start from that. In the Holy Quran, Ibrahim's al-Islam's father is mentioned as Azar, and at a particular occasion he prayed for his father. This is mentioned in the Holy Quran, and at another occasion it is mentioned that Abraham prayed this prayer because he had made this promise with his father that I shall definitely pray for your forgiveness. But when Allah made it clear to Abraham that your father was the enemy of Allah, then he repented, and then it appears from the style of the Holy Quran that Abraham stopped even thinking about that. But at that point he had already fulfilled his promise that he made to his father. From this, different commentators have had some confusions, but Huzur is saying that one certain occasion of an Eid sermon I explained that this was a special treatment of love with Abraham, which is being mentioned here. Allah could have stopped him before. Allah knew that this would happen. And it appears that the prayer was when his father was already passed away. The reason is that the prayer is after a long time afterwards. It seems to be the prayer at the time of the construction of the Kaaba, and before that he had left them behind, and many revolutions had taken place, and It is fine to pray for idolaters during their lifetime, because for all the idolaters, the Holy Prophet ﷺ used to pray for them that may Allah guide them, and it was his prayer that created the revolution. So the prayer that is been mentioned with reference to Abraham is a prayer that he made after the death of Azar, but is not considered. Nowhere does the Holy Quran prevent people from praying for those idolaters who are alive, but the Holy Prophet ﷺ's prayer for such people, for people who are idolaters, for example, Abu Jahl, it is well known, he used to pray for the whole of his people. And right now he is saying that, at the occasion of Taif, the famous prayer that he did, and the same prayer was again, it is written that the Holy Prophet ﷺ did. So to pray for the idolaters, not praying for them is only after they die, and you can't pray for them once they die. Then you can only pray for them for their forgiveness. And Allah said that when the idolaters have come to me and their whole life they have not had a chance to repent, then you should not pray for them. It is then Allah's it is up to Allah how He treats His people, and this is the subject due to which Huzur is saying that I think that the prayers that Abraham did for his father, which the Holy Quran regards his father, it is a prayer that was after his demise, and it is special love and compassion with Allah, of Allah towards Abraham, that although Allah knew that he was Allah's enemy, and Allah does not like prayer for Allah's enemies and idolaters, and yet Allah waited until Abraham had fulfilled his promise, and when he fulfilled his promise, then Allah told him that he was an enemy. So this is the whole subject which is saying that I am putting before you in detail, so that you know the background of this whole discussion. Abraham alayhi prayer about his her father is mentioned, and Azar is said to be the father of Abraham. So remember, keep this in mind. In the Bible, however, the reference I put before you yesterday, instead of Azar, Tareh is the name given to Abraham's father, and with this mention, it has not been specified or clarified that whether it has been said that he married his own stepsister, that is of the same father but of a different mother. So this is the whole confusion, to remove which Huzur is saying that I presented different things before you. The commentators are inclined towards this. The Bible's speaking about Tareh is correct. Abraham was Tareh's son, and about Hazrat Sarah, and they say that he was their uncle's daughter, or as you call a cousin, but there is no certain proof of that. As far as the Bible is concerned, it keeps quiet after saying that she was of the same father and of a different mother. In Hazrat Muslim Tafsir Kabir, from different places, it is said, different possibilities are presented, but the style tells us that he wasn't completely satisfied with the explanation, and his inclination is that his name was Tareh, and in Arabic it became Azar. And the problem with this scenario is that there is no mention of Azar in Tare's brothers, and Tare is mentioned, and then after that no brothers and sisters are mentioned in this reference. This is the reason why our commentators faced this problem, that they had to search for someone else. And one of the solutions that was presented was this by the Muslim Azanho, that the father would still be Tare, but he may have passed away at a young age, and as an orphan, Azar may have looked after him. So therefore, to call him a father is acceptable in two ways, because sometimes an uncle is called a father, and also if he looked after him, then he could still, again he could be called the father. But the Bible says that Tare remained alive to much later, so much so that at the first migration, which was done from Ud, Tare was with Abraham. So again, this clashes with the Bible. If we do this to remove the contradiction with the Bible, then the contradiction will be somewhere else. You can't escape the contradiction. Therefore, Huzur is saying that the idea that I presented, Huzur is saying that I am very strongly still in favor of my opinion, and I'm quite certain that the Quran, what the Quran has mentioned is complete. It's absolutely correct. Abraham's father was Azar, not Tare. And Tare had many other brothers as well, and those brothers, among them there were Azar as well. And the proof that there were other brothers I shall put before you. Tare is going with Abraham, this is proven, but Azar's going with him is not proven. And as far as Azar is concerned, Sail himself accepts that one name, Azar, is also found, which was the father of Abraham. And a famous historian who is very trustworthy of the historians, Huzur is saying is the name Josephus. Huzur Singh is called Eusebius, but Joseph is the same person's name. He says that the father of ecclesiastical history gives Azar as the name of Abraham's father. So he's saying that instead of Tare, the ecclesiastical history, Huzur is saying that I read it properly the first time. Ecclesiastical history is written here. He was regarded as the forefather of the historian. Sale writes with his reference. They gives Arthur is the name as the name of Abraham's father, which is very close to Azar. Huzur saying we've taken this reference from Quram Farid Sahib's commentary. And they're not very detailed notes, but this is where we found this. And Huzur saying that we have not yet found Sale's actual reference, but Huzur saying that I will look at Sale's actual reference, and also in this book of history where this is mentioned, that I will read that and then I'll present it before you. One thing is for certain, that the Orientalists' allegation against the Holy Quran, they themselves have helped the Muslims by finding this reference, and the Holy Quran's mention of Azar is proven to be true. So why should we change it, and why should we regard Azar as the uncle? In this way, both the problems are resolved. Hazrat Sarah, we do not have to search for a different father for Hazrat Sarah. She may remain the daughter of Tare, and then Tare is going with him, with Abraham. makes more sense as a father-in-law, and because Azar was his extreme enemy, then he did not like to travel with him, or he may have died by that time. But when the prayer was made at that time, Azar had died and Tare was still alive. This is for certain. Now let us see how old Tare was, and when Abraham was born, how old was he and how old was his father. I wish to put these references before you from the Bible. At the time of Tare's birth, Nuhur was 29 years old. Nuhur was the grandfather of Abraham and also of his brother. We were saying that these names are very similar to each other. These days as well, there is the method of writing the son-in-law, the grandchild's name by the grandparents' name, after the grandparents' name. So Huzur is saying that Nuhur's age is supposed to be 148 years, and Hazrat Ibrahim's father, at the time of the birth of Ibrahim's father, so saying, wait, I'll tell you again. Tare was 70 when Abraham was born. Tare was 70 when Abraham was born, according to the Bible. And 78 years after the birth of Abraham, his grandfather passed away when he migrated. So he migrated at the age of 75, and at that time his grandfather was still alive. At that time his grandfather, if I'm talking about Tare's father, if he wasn't Tare's son, somebody else's son, even if he was Tare's brother's son, then Tare and the grandfather died at the age of 138 years, I think Huzur said. And this is from Genesis chapter 11, verses 22 to 32. So there's another reference which would enable you to understand what confusions there are in the Bible, and a lot of things are just found there just in name and there's no details. So to think that Tare was for the same and he was just one, and his brothers and things had died, this is not correct. So saying that listen to this reference carefully as to how many brothers Tare had and what were they like, etc. The Bible writes, and Suruj was 30 years old when Nuhur was born out of him, and at the time of Nuhur's birth, Suruj remained alive for another 200 years. And now they're saying that even the great grandfather of Abraham is supposed to be alive at the time. So his great grandfather was also alive when he went to do when he was migrating. So Suruj was 30 when Nuhur was born, and Nuhur was 29 when Tare was born. So if Tare is the father of Abraham, then his grandfather was 59. Sorry, his great grandfather was 59 and his grandfather was 29. So saying, do you understand? So saying, just a minute, I'm going to tell you again. Abraham was born afterwards. So saying, I'm going to tell you about Tare. Tare's age Nahur's age was 148, who was supposed to be the father of Tare, and Nahur's father's name is Suruj, who was the grandfather of Tare. Do you understand this? As I was saying, now let us go back to those calculations. Suruj was 30 when Nahur was born from him. And after the birth of Nuhur, that is the birth of Nuhur, so Suruj was alive, remained alive for another 200 years. So Ibrahim al-Islam's, we're talking about Ibrahim al-Islam's great-grandfather. Saruj was Ibrahim's great-grandfather. Nuhur was his was a grandfather. When the grandfather was born, Saruj was 30, and then he remained alive for another 200 years. So they're saying now, with the age of Nuhur, if we combine this, then it calculates to that if Nuhur was alive for 148 years, then 52 years after that, Nuhur's father was also alive. So when the grandfather of Abraham, when he dies, then after him, another 52 years, his great-grandfather stayed alive. These are the references of the Bible which have been given so much importance. So saying, imagine a 229-year-old grandfather who is walking with him, and this is not even strange for the Bible. They also mention ages of people for about 800 years. So saying that once I calculated and I thought, and I realized as far as the Bible is concerned, lots of other prophets were alive at the time of Noah. In the time of Abraham, Noah was still alive. When Abraham was born, why are you surprised about the grandfather? When you look at Noah's age, you'll be amazed that Noah was even alive at the time. He remains alive for 55 years. Or 55 years. We're saying there's some difference in these references. So this is the Bible upon which they are placing such trust that they are trying to find excuses for the Holy Quran. There is absolutely no room for this, for such logic. Then let us see the further confusion. Nuhur was 29 when Tare was born, and after Tare's birth, Nuhur was alive for 119 years, and from him sons and daughters were born. After the birth of Tare, for 119 years he was still alive, and Hazrat Ibrahim al-Islam was born when Tare was 70. Now let us see that other children were also born after the birth of Abraham, and other children were also born before him. So to limit it to Tare goes against the Bible itself. After the birth of Tare, for 119 years continuously, his father continued to have children and sons and daughters. Therefore, to start this argument as to whether or not Azar's name is there or not, if Azar's name is there, it's as the father, and the Tare's reference is being rejected. So it may well be that Tare was Abraham's father-in-law. That is the father of Sarah. And about him, it doesn't appear that he was so against idolatry, but with Azar, it appears that he was a very staunch idolater, and he had a shop of idolatry as well. So if Abraham is presented as the son of Azar by the Holy Quran, then I don't see any reason why we should search for a different father. And Azar remained alive for a long time afterwards, and the prayer to him was after that, and Tare was alive after that. And after the death of Tare, his grandfather was also alive. So this is the whole gist of what is in the Bible, and this is from the Bible. So Tare gave birth to Abraham and Nuhur and Haram gave birth to Lut, and they've left all the other children, whereas in other places there is a mention of them. And Huzur is saying that the reference of sale has been found by our research team girls. MashaAllah. Sophia Safi writes that Abraham's father is also called Zara in the Talmud, and Arthur by Eusebius. Page 126, Sale. So Sale has given two names. One is that of Arthur, which is similar to Azar, and one is Zara. And this is probably why they thought it meant Tare. The Zar name is in the middle, and one of its pronunciation is Zar. It is Zare as well. So Tare and Zare are so close that it appears that because of this, the people who were writing the Bible, they were themselves deceived into thinking that it was Tare who was the father of Abraham. So these three things are mentioned, which the Orientalists accept as well. Now we turn to the discussion. The Shiite commentators' references I have presented before you, and they are trying their best to prove that the Quranic verse in which the Holy Prophet ﷺ's blessed wives are mentioned and they are called the Ahle Bayt, they try to get them out of there somehow. If they can't come out of the verse, then some other excuses are construed so that it is proven that they're not of the Ahle Bayt, the progeny of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, who is saying that they have some references from Durr Mansur, and they try to present the acceptance of Aisha and Salma Zanha, that they themselves said that they weren't Ahle Bayt, they weren't in that among the Ahle Bayt, and they created lots of such references, and then obviously there were contradictions with them. Because they were saying that even something which is not without any contradictions and it clashes with the Holy Quran, it has to be rejected. But here, when it is contradictions, and how could it be accepted if it clashes with the Holy Quran? And this is something which is every commentator accepts, that if a tradition clashes with the Holy Quran, then either find its reason, either find an explanation for it, or reject it. So to regard this as being worthy of any further attention is not necessary. And they also have said that when Abraham mentions Hazrat Sarah, the wife of Abraham, and regarded her as Ahle Bayt, who were saying that nobody can dare to not regard Hazrat Sarah as the wife of Abraham. The discussion about Tare happened because in order to get away from such a basic idea, they had to bring up all of this rubbish. So they think that Sarah was great because of was respectful because of her family, and they said that she didn't get her respect from Abraham. She got her respect from being the father of Tare. And then they went further, and they jumped into the next generation. They left Ibrahim out completely, and then they said that, look, she was Ishaq's mother. So what was the fault of Hazrat Hajra? Why was she not regarded as being Ahle Bayt? She was not the child of Azar or Tare, but was she not Ismail's mother? Why did Allah forsake her? If the Ahle Bayt are made with because of the kind of child someone has, and it was the right of Hajra as well, and she had the more of a right because from her children was to be born the aim of all humankind, for the sake of whom the whole of the universe was made, and the final fruit was to be born out of the children of Hazrat Hajra. Yet she couldn't be called Ummul Mu'mineen, and obviously according to them Abraham could not have given any blessings. It was only a son's blessing. If this principle is accepted, then all the prophets' mothers would have to be regarded as Ahle Bayt, and then this causes some problems in the subject. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, after him there is Lot, and then there is Nuh alayhi salam, Noah, and one of the sons of Noah was lost, not all of them. But then we'd have to think of his mother as the Ahle Bayt, and then there are some problems because Allah has not given a good example of them in the Holy Quran. And similarly, there are other problems as well which we do not need to know the details. So this principle is worth rejecting, that Ahle Bayt can be made due to the children. Ahle Bayt is the lady who is the head of the house, in which there is a master, there is a husband. With reference to her, there is an Ahle Bayt, or her children become Ahle Bayt because of the father. This to become Ahle Bayt because of the son, this is just to create mischief. Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa, etc., in order to try to get them out of the Ahle Bayt. This is an excuse, and there's absolutely no truth to it. I think I've said enough about this. I do not want to go into discuss it any further. But then another problem came before them, and they thought that there had to be a blood relation, and if there is also a spiritual relation that's combined, then one can become an Ahle Bayt. But because the blood relation does not include the wife, then in this way the wives will come out of this list, and only those mothers, only those wives would be counted as Ahle Bayt if through their fathers they were related to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. So now another problem has come in front of them, that is of Salman Farsi radhiyallahu anhu. At the occasion of the Battle of Khandaq, the Battle of the Ditch, the Holy Prophet ﷺ called him and stood him among the Ahle Bayt, and he said, Salmanu minna Ahlul Bayt. Salman is ours, and he's Ahle Bayt. Shiites not only accept this reference, they are 100% in agreement with it, and they have got themselves in a lot of problems because they thought that a blood relation is necessary. So where did Salman come from in this? So if Huzur is saying that, I will tell you now how did they try to escape from this problem. Huzur is saying that first, this is from Tafsir Safi. This reference is Kashani's book, Safi Tafsir al-Quran, volume 1, page 890, and the translation is, Ayashi has said this from Imam Jafar Sadiq. They think that if they can take a reference back to an Imam, then it is authentic. They say that because they say that Imam is at such a high status that there is no need for them to say where he heard it from. Even if the Imam was born 200 years later, his reference will be regarded as authentic as if a reference has gone to the reached up to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. So this caused it to become completely authentic. So he said that whoever among you adopted righteousness and reformed is from among us, the Ahl Bayt. The Imams were very pure and very holy men. No matter how bad the Shiite beliefs get, you should remember that the Holy Prophet's blood in the people, when the people among whom it was running for many generations, they showed such blessedness that their Imams from the bloodline of Aisha Zanha, so Hazrat Fatma Zanha, they were very pious and righteous, and if somebody refers some false allegations towards them, then it's not their fault. Such references should be analyzed, because other references will contradict with them. But about the Imams, you should never think that they said anything in order to promote their own points of view. They were righteous and they were brave, and they listened to a different point of view, and they didn't care they went with it, and they didn't care what their disciples thought. Here it's written about Imam Jafar Sadiq. He said that whoever from among you is righteous and reformed himself, he will be among us, Ahl Bayt. It was said to him, really, from you? And he said, yes, from us. And Imam Bakr said that the one who loved us is from the Ahl Bayt. And it was said to him, really, from you? And he said, yes, from us. And he said that I swear by God that have you not heard what Abraham said, that the one who obeys me is from me? And Hazrat Imam Sadiq said that the one who disobeyed me, you are very forgiving and merciful. So this is what their Imams say. They say that there is no need for any blood relation. What's important is that somebody should be righteous. The one who is righteous and who is pious, he will be regarded as among the Ahl Bayt. Tafsir Majmu' al-Bayan, it says, who was reading the Arabic, just as when it was said about Noah's son that Laysa min ahlika, then it only meant that he is not of your religion. So they're saying that Noah knew that anyway. The argument was of the Ahl Bayt, that the Ahl Bayt would be protected. So from this point of view, he thought that it won't make any difference. There were two promises. Those people who are with him, spiritually they were with him in the boat, and that was fulfilled. And the other promise was that Allah would save his children, his Ahl. So Noah did not think at all. He knew that the people of the same religion are going to be saved. Although his children were outside his religion, he thought that he would still be in his Ahl. But they're saying innahu laysa min ahlika means that Noah was told that he is not from among your people. Did Noah not know this? He was not in Noah's ark, so he must, when he was outside. So Noah didn't know, but the Shiites knew. No, this is completely rubbish, and there is no basis for it. And it's not very nice. But in any case, they say this. Who's reading some more Arabic? They are saying that actually when Salman was regarded as Ahl Bayt is because of his being having a spiritual relationship. He was not from among the Ahl Bayt. They were saying, remember this, I'll tell you later on. This is from Majma'ul Bayan,
सलमान मिन्ना अहलुल बैत
volume 12, page 170.
के मुसन्निफ फतुल्लाह काशानी लिखते हैं
Fatullah Kashani writes,
लैसा मिन अहलिक इन्नहु लैसा अला दीनिक इससे ज़्यादा इसकी कोई मुराद नहीं
this is all it means.
ये मुराद है हज़रत
It says, with reference to Noah, Innahu laysa min ahlik, Innahu laysa ala dinik, that he is not on your religion. That who's reading some Persian.
وهذا كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم سلمان منا أهل البيت على ديننا.
So all it means is that he was on their religion, he was of the same religion, that is Salman Razanhu. Now let us hear the next word, this reference. What is the background of this? What's the detail? Sirat ibn Hisham has explained this in detail. He says that the occasion of the Battle of the Ditch, the migrants said that Salman Minna, Salman is among us, and Ansar said Salman Minna, that Salman is from us. Salman Farsi, from his ethnicity, he was not from Mecca or from Medina. He had come from Faris, from Persia. So how could they? Where would he be? Where would he go? And according to him, the Holy Prophet ﷺ made the Muhajirin stand on one side and the Ansar on the other side, and there as Ahl Bayt on his side. And the Muhajirin tried to call him toward himself and said that Salman should come to us, and the Ansar said he should come to us. What did the Holy Prophet ﷺ say according to them? Salman minna ahlul bayt, Salman is ours, he is on our religion. He is not at on the religion of Ansar or on the religion of the migrants. So they're saying, can you think of anything more idiotic than this? Look at the occasion and look at the kind of thing that they have thought of. There is an Urdu verse that a blind man saw very far in the dark. They're saying that they have seen even further than that. The Ansar is saying that he is ours, and Muhajirin is saying he's ours, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ said he is ours, and the Shiites said it means only religion. So they said it was only that whether he was on the religion of Ansar or the Muhajirin or etc. Now let us go further ahead. Sayyid Muhammad Baqir Majlisi Sahib eventually has to accept the truth, and this is because the Shiite Imams are very, very true people. They are very righteous, and he says that in a book called Masail al-Darajat, it is said that Fazl bin Isa said that him and his father went to Hazrat Sadiq, and my father said to him, is it true that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that Salman is from among us, that is the Ahl Bayt? Hazrat said, yes. My father said, was he of the progeny of Abdul Muttalib? So the same thing in his mind, he was trying to say to him that, what are you trying to say? Is this what the Ahl Bayt means? Hazrat said, he is from the Ahl Bayt. This is all I'll say. And completely ignored his allegation, his complaint. And my father said, is he of the children of Abu Talib? And he just replied, he is of the Ahl Bayt. This is what righteousness is. How elevated the status is of their Imams, and look at what misfortune these Maulvis have adopted. Hazrat said, he is from the Ahl Bayt. My father said, I don't understand you. What are you trying to say? Hazrat said, just understand that he is from us Ahle Bayt, and that's it. Hayat al-Qulub from Allama Sayyid Muhammad Baqir Majlisi, Volume 2, page 954, publisher Imamiyya Kutub Khana, Lahore. This makes the whole subject quite clear. It is proven very clearly from the verse of the Holy Quran that it is not necessary for the Ahle Bayt that should be a blood relation and should be from someone. So there are two things that they are forced to accept from the same progeny. They say because they want to include Hazrat Fatima Rizlanha, and the blood relation they are trying to include in order to include the Ali Rizlanho, and then those people upon whom charity is forbidden, in that they have to include Hazrat Abbas Rizlanho, Hazrat Abbas as well. And then there was the condition of the religion as well, that they have to be on the same religion. So both of these ideas are on one side, and Ibrahim al-Islam's blessed wife being called by the angels of Allah as Ahle Bayt proves that the wife of a prophet can be Ahle Bayt, but they removed the discussion of the blood relation. So then they come to this point, this verse which is being discussed there. The wife of the Holy Prophet, the wife of a prophet is mentioned, and they are being talked about, and their purity is mentioned, and they are told that they will be granted double the blessings, and no third thing. And Allah says that He will reward them. So the relationship of blood is also being taken away, and the only condition of being an Ahle Bayt is to be of the same religion. And this then was further corroborated by the tradition of Salman Farsi's Lanho. There is no question of any blood relation. He was not even of the same people, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ called him Ahle Bayt. So he proved this that to be for Ahle Bayt there is no need to be of the same bloodline. They would, if somebody wants to become like the Holy Prophet ﷺ in his religion and he loves him, then he can be counted among the Ahle Bayt. This tradition has to do with that prophecy in which the coming Imam is regarded as being among the people of Salman Farsi. This was another occasion when Surah Jummah was revealed. Then in reference to in this discussion of the verses, I have mentioned it several times before, but I'll remind you again. All the Arabs were seated there, and the discussion was who is being mentioned that would come later on. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ put his hand on the shoulder of Salman Farsi and said, "Law kana al-imanu in the thuriyya lanalahu rajulun," or in some readings it says "Rijalun min haulai," one great man or some great people. Even if the faith flies off to the Pleiades, it will be among them. He didn't say it will be his progeny. He says from him, min haulai, he will be from among these people who will snatch that light back from the heavens and bring it back to the earth. In some places it is said that the coming prophet will be from Ahle Bayt. So by Salman's being counted as Ahle Bayt proves that the Holy Prophet ﷺ's actions, every single one of them were based on very deep spiritual cognizance, and you should not consider his statements as separate. They have a very deep relationships with each other, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ meant that whether he is my relative or not, I call him as being the Ahl Bayt. So the one who is mine will be among the Ahl Bayt. And there is no need to raise the question as to what the blood relation there is with that person. From this, Huzur is saying that this reminds me of that reference of Hazrat Muslim Zanho. He said that there was a king of Russia called Tsar. Once he was sitting and performing something very important, a very important task, and he told his soldier, he was a soldier, he gave him the instruction that stand outside the door and let no one come inside, no matter what, because I don't want to be interfered with. At this time, Tsar's own son came to the door and he said, "Move out of the way, I'm going to go inside." The soldier said, "No. It is the order, command of Tsar that no one can go inside." He said that I'm the son. He said that I do not know of any exception to the rule. All I have been told is that no one should go inside. He took his stick out and started to beat him. And when he finished beating him again, he asked him that, "Now tell me, will you let me go inside?" He said, "No, I won't." This continued to happen. He was beaten so much that he kept on controlling himself, and eventually his sound reached Tsar, and Tsar came outside and saw that this is what's going on. Tsar said, "What's happened? Why are you hitting him?" He said, "He won't let me go inside. He's being rude to me." And Tsar said, "Why won't you let him go inside?" He said that he was saying, "This is your command." He said that, "Then why were you trying to come inside? It was my command not to come inside." He said to the soldier that, "Get the same stick and hit my son with it." That he didn't feel like it, but he picked up the stick, and the son then replied that this is an old law in Russia, in the kingdom of Russia, that no soldier may raise his hand. No soldier may raise his hand on anyone who is of a higher rank, and this is my status, and he is just an ordinary soldier. So this law cannot be disregarded." Tsar said, "Yes, you're right, this is a law and that shall be respected." So he addressed him, and he promoted him to the general. Right there and then he said, "Oh, General such and such, pick up this stick and beat my son with it." At this, the prince said there is another law as well, that a non-prince, no matter how big the officer he may be, he cannot raise his hand against a prince. So the Tsar said to him, "Oh Prince, get up, pick this lash up and lash my son." And then he got up and lashed his son. So a small king of the world, it is up to him to make anyone a king, and these people think that the Holy Prophet ﷺ does not have the right, and somebody who was with him for her whole life could not become a princess. This is extreme ignorance. The whole world belonged to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and when he said Salmanu minna Ahlul Bayt, this makes it definitely proven that it was up to him, whomsoever he regarded as being the Ahlul Bayt, he could do so. And for Ahlul Bayt, what was the conditions for the Ahlul Bayt? Now let me tell you what conditions, it has, the Holy Quran has presented before us, how it smashes their
من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Inna Allah alimun khabir.
This verse, Huzur said, would blow their proofs into smithereens. This is chapter Al-Hujurat, verse number 14, and Allah says, this is just of the translation, that, O people, O humankind, we created you from a man and a woman, and we divided you into different tribes and different groups, just for the reasons that you may recognize each other with reference to these groups and people. As far as honor is concerned, inna akramakum indallahi atqakum, the most honorable among you is he who is in Allah's eyes is the most righteous. So association with any family does not honor anyone, and to not have a relationship with a particular family does not also doesn't take away honor from someone. So this is the principle which has been going on from before, that the most honorable is he who is the most righteous. So the reference from which you are looking for the honor, that is the reference of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. The most honorable was the most righteous was the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and he did not become the most honorable because he was son of he was a child of the house of Hisham. It was because he was the most righteous. Inna Allah alimun khabir. What do you know of these things? Allah knows better as to who is a righteous. So with reference to the honor, if you're talking about the Ahl Bayt, then the Holy Quran has made it completely clear, and Allah has concluded this discussion that whatever blessing you talk about, prophethood or imamat, its final decision is in the hands of Allah, and only He knows where He is going to make somebody a prophet, and He is the one who decides who is going to be given blessings. He's going to give his blessings to whomsoever he pleases, and there is no one who can stop his hand. So these discussions are completely ignorant, and they are prejudices from before Islam, and you're taking it ahead in Islam. The question is, why did these discussions begin in the first place? So let me tell you briefly that these are actually ancient Persian kings' ideas, and their ideas of inheritance, which have been it's been infiltrated into Islam, and this is, you can say that this is the revenge of Persians against Islam. The fact of the matter is that until the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, continuously their kingdom remained for some. So saying that, let me tell you, till the time of Umar Zanho, when Iran was defeated repeatedly. So for approximately 1300 years, their kingdom continued without any hindrance. Although the families changed, and Nietzsche writes about this in his famous book, Thus Spake Zoroaster, that the reason why I fell in love with Zoroaster, because I saw that the Iranian customs and the Iranian kingdom that we find is a most ancient, and then after Islam destroyed these kingdoms, and this happened at the time of Umar Zanho. All the great victories which the Muslims were granted in the time of Iran were at the era of the Umar Zanho. Such incredible victories were won that historians don't understand how it happened. They used to have well-trained armies of 600,000, and they used to have all kinds of and the newest and the most modern weaponry, and in front of them only 60,000 Muslims, Arabs would stand, and they would defeat them, and their great people like Rustam and Sohrab, none of them could do anything in front of them. In this period in history, no historian can present, can say why it happened. So, and all of these happened in the time of Umar Zanho. So he became the figure of hatred for Iran. So they tried to remove the honor from him, because the kingdom used to go down generation to generation through the same bloodline, and these are the prejudices. They try to make this say that spirituality should be the same, and although they are clothed in religious garb, but it's actually ancient prejudices which are running. So if for Hazrat Sarah, she is trying to they're trying to look for the honor through Tare, not through Abraham. If they had this verse in their view, that all honor is granted from righteousness, and they would have thought that Abraham was the cause of Sarah's honor, and this would have been, and the same the same honor was also for Hazrat Hajra Anha, sorry. So this makes it completely clear these are prejudices that played their part when it was Muawiyah's government, and these conspiracies began in Iran, and the strategy that they adopted has today become a basis of the Shiite religion, that the inheritance is through blood and not through spirituality. And then they said that because of the Holy Quran, they are now saying that it should be through the blood, but also through spirituality. So in this way, they try to limit the spring of Ahl Bayt, and in this reference, they tried to create disorder among the Arabs, and they are not from the center to the outside. They are start from the periphery and travel inwards. So these disorders were born on the borders of the Islamic kingdom, the Islamic areas, and they came inside just like locusts get nourished in deserts and then go inside and attack the crops. So these were nourished in outside areas and then attacked in the center. But those people in whose name this happened, they could not get any advantage from it. The Alawis could not get the kingdom. When they tried, these conspiracies were only resulted in Abbas's children becoming the leaders. So the ones for the sake of whom there was a propaganda, nothing could come of them. And then when Iran took their government back, and after 200 years, finally Iran attained freedom. Then if they were based in righteousness, then they should have made the children of Ali Zanho the kings of Iran. It was all false. It was not love. It was the Iranian prejudice which was working. The old dynasties were reinstated, and Iranians then ruled Iran. or others, but Hazrat Ali's children were not invited to rule over them. They did not make them kings over themselves. So this is the background of this whole argument, which Huzur is saying that it isn't presented before you, but because at the occasion of this discussion, this question was raised, and because they had attacked the wives of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and the companions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, I began this discussion because the actual reference, the verse that we're discussing, we deviated from that, but we shall go back to that. But first, Huzur is saying that I'm going to present one final reference to you. Huzur's wondering where the reference went. Huzur is saying that it was to be kept after this one. Huzur is saying they go and bring it. It's with this reference. Huzur is saying I'll show you the reference later, but I'll tell you about it now. The Shiite writer Mir Ahmad Ali Sahib, where he has said something with Aisha Zanha, which is wrong. There he calls her Hazrat Ummul Mu'mineen, that is the mother of the believers. And what do they think of the status of Aisha Zanha? They say that he says that, do you regard these wives as the Ahl Bayt, in whom was she, because of whom the Holy Prophet ﷺ had to see a whole month of pain, to experience and undergo a whole month of pain? What a horrible allegation this is. It is such an impure allegation on such an innocent lady. It was only once before done, which was against the Mary, and the Holy Prophet ﷺ was present, and he negated that, and Allah exonerated her through a revelation, and the Christians are attacking her. The Shiites are attacking her, and in the life of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, this was repeated. And Huzur was probably talking about Mary before. So on the wife of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the same allegation was made, and then Allah Himself exonerated her. And this writer is saying that these are people you call the pure wives. How could they be among the Ahl Bayt, who, because of her own action, she put the Holy Prophet ﷺ through pain for a whole month until that verse was revealed? What did that chapter say? Did it say that it was due to Aisha Zanha's mistake? The chapter tells us that the Holy Prophet, because of the boycott of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, because this was given so much importance, Aisha was in pain. So when the Holy Prophet ﷺ went to the Aisha Zanha's house after this verse was revealed, Aisha Zanha did not thank her and said, "Thank God you have understood." She said, "What's the point now? My God has exonerated me, and then you have come to me. And this a time when I have been going through so much pain, the forgiveness of this has got nothing to do with you. My Allah has exonerated me." And this is the subject which, with reference to the Holy Quran and with the reference to the Hadith, we see it as the truth. And this is what they're saying about the Ummul Mu'mineen, the mothers of the believers. How despicable are these attacks. My blood boils, but what can we do? We have been told to show patience. May Allah guide them. Huzur saying that I feel sorry for those poor Shiite innocent people who do not know about religion, and they don't understand about the Quran or about Hadith. They hear their Maulvis every year, and they see them they see them beating their chests, but they don't know what they should be, for what they should be beating their chests over. This is what they should be beating their chest over. If you are beating your chest for that physical Karbala, you should also grieve for this spiritual Karbala, that you people have been transgressing and being so cruel to the Holy Prophet ﷺ's blessed companions and to his blessed wives. Huzur is saying that the detailed discussion of the wives, that we will do afterwards. You have probably misunderstood. Huzur is saying that I said it, but you probably not understood me. The reference I have said, Huzur is saying, it's from Mir Ahmad Ali, verse 165, Surah Hud, verse 74. Sorry. And he says the conduct of some of the wives of the Holy Prophet ﷺ is well recorded in Islamic history, meaning that he's not mentioning that allegation. He doesn't mention that those people who by making this allegation hurt the Holy Prophet ﷺ and his Aisha Zanha. He says the conduct of some of the wives of the Holy Prophet ﷺ is well recorded in Islamic history as to who were those of his wives with whom the Holy Prophet ﷺ was pleased, and who were those who teased him and used to give him the headache by their behavior with him, which necessitated their being discarded for about a month until Surah 16 was revealed. Huzur is saying that perhaps there is something in here which needs to be investigated. This is probably why I kept this reference separately. There are two incidents mentioned, and Huzur is saying that I'm not sure, and this was a possibility which I explained before you. One of the incidents is that when the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that if they are complaining of the straitened circumstances, then say to your wives that it's up to you. I can give you all kinds of comforts and blessings, and I'll let you go from my home, but otherwise you can stay with me, and you should accept the straitened circumstances. And then he remained away from them for a while, but I don't think he came back because of some verse of the Holy Quran. All of his wives discussed this, and they said to the Holy Prophet ﷺ that we'd rather stay with you no matter how straitened our circumstances. I was thinking that perhaps they were indicating towards that. They're saying it's not possible that they could indicate towards that, because there was no verse revealed about them. They themselves, those blessed wives themselves, come to the Holy Prophet ﷺ and say that we'd much rather stay with you. We don't want a life of comfort if it means not being with you. So the Holy Prophet ﷺ renewed his relationships with them. Huzur is saying that take that chapter out. We will check it now. Huzur is saying that I shall now turn to the next verses. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أولما أصابتكم مصيبة قد أصبتم مثلها قلتم أن هذا قل هو من عند أنفسكم إن الله على كل شيء قدير وما أصابكم يوم التقى الجمعان فبإذن الله وليعلم المؤمنين. After this there is the other verse وَلِيَعْلَمَ الَّذِينَ نَافَقُوا. Because this has to do with that, this is why I should include this. وَقِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا قَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَوِ ادْفَعُوا.
सवाल है क्या ये हकीकत नहीं, क्या ये वाक़या दुरुस्त नहीं
This is a question that is it not correct? Is this not right that when you had a problem, when you endured a problem twice, which you had already inflicted them with, kultum, you said anna haza. How did this happen? This could be one of the meanings, and the other is a style which I explained before, that whenever you undergo a problem more than which you have given to someone else, and will you always say that where did this come from? So this is the other meaning is more appropriate to the words, but the way that this is mentioned, so I think that it should be like a continuous subject, meaning that whenever such occasions occur, when you have harmed an enemy and then you're also harmed, then will you always say the same, that why has this happened to us? This is the basis, the psychological basis, which because the Mislaha only happened once, so the Muslim Zanho has translated to me that it happened only once. That is it not true that when you yourself had hurt someone, then when it happened to you, then you said this, Kul huwa min indi anfusikum. So the response of this should be that this was from yourself. In Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Verily Allah is power to do all that He wills. Huzur saying that now I shall go into the discussion of the grammar and then to the commentary. Who was reading some Arabic, that rain falls. Saab means to descend or to fall. So musibat or is something which suddenly happens, suddenly occurs, and it means for something to fall from somewhere. And this is taken from there, and Saba Samun who ramiyati, that this the arrow hit the target. So for an arrow to hit the target, let's read some more Arabic. Problem, grief, or any accident or something that is not expected, that is what is meant with it. Iltiqa means to confront someone in a war. As far as the reason for the revelation is concerned, commentators always discuss this. Hazrat Umar Zan, who is supposed to have said that the reason why this problem occurred at the Battle of Uhud was because they took a ransom in the Battle of Badr. I was asking if the other verse has been found. I was saying this is the one which is the verse of the Tathir. I was saying that this is, which is, where is the verse? They're saying this is not what I'm referring to. There is the Holy Quran says that, sorry, Huzur hasn't said, Huzur is looking for a reference which has to do with their behavior, and then after that the Quran says about says something after a month. This has got nothing to do with this other occasion, and because I had not looked at that reference, so I had told them that perhaps this may have been in his head, but this is not it.
निकालें ना, नहीं निकालें तो सही, अभी पता लग जाएगा। कहता है यहाँ तक सूरह 16 नाज़िल हुई।
He's saying that until Surah 16 was revealed.
वो तो तौबा में है।
You're saying that's in Surah Tawbah.
वो तौबा में है।
Isn't it in Surah Tawbah?
हाँ? नूर में, ठीक है।
Surah is in Surah Nur. And what's the number of Surah Nur?
मैं क्या देखें उसके लिखने में कोई गलती
You're saying that perhaps there might be a mistake in the way he's written it. So in the writing. After a month, from Allah, Aisha was exonerated. This is proven from the Holy Quran, and he is mentioning about something which has got nothing to do with this. This has happened before as well. So he is saying that there's no reference found of it. So he is making up his own references as he goes along. So saying that's 24, but that reference in itself is very clear. And its the gist is that until Allah removed the pain of the Holy Prophet ﷺ because of what Aisha Zanha did, Nauzubillah, God forbid, the Holy Prophet ﷺ was in pain, and if it was not Aisha Zanha's action, and this is what Allah is saying, then what right do you have to say this? That we should have accepted. Huzur saying these people are just completely engrossed in malice, and it is a great transgression against the ordinary general public of the Shiite. They should listen to these things, and they should understand what transgression is being committed against them. And these Maulvis are in between them and their blessed Imams, and the same character of Maulvis is also seen in the Sunnis, and they are so dark that they will not let any light go through them. And about the general public, who are saying that if they see any light, then their style is not that of the Maulvis. They are ignorant, but they're not Maulvis. In fact, Huzur is saying that some educated people, the ordinary public are more enlightened, and they are straight-minded. And whenever we talk about different things in Pakistan, etc., and so saying that I went around in different places in in Pakistan, and I used to have many discussions, question answer sessions with them, and it's my experience that the Maulvis will always stay on their point of view, and the ordinary public would turn to my point of view. So we have to reach the general public. On the one hand, they are standing between with the source of the light and themselves, and then now they are standing between us and this general public, and they have stopped us from contacting them at all. And if Allah had not granted us this method, then now we are able to go to these people, and its effect is so fast that the day before yesterday, an Ahmadi friend here brought his non-Ahmadi guest to the Dars, and immediately after listening to that, he said that I want to do Bai'at right now. I cannot remain outside Ahmadiyyat. He was saying, I want to tell you this, it is essential for us to try to reach the general public. Khalifa Salih who used to say that the 99% of the Pakistani public are good, and is only 1% who are ruining everyone. But although they are good, but they are also ignorant. If the problem with an ignorant person is that despite their goodness, if something goes in their minds, then even if it is wrong, they will give their lives up for that. And this is not what educated people can't do this. So the ordinary people are always the ones who is a proof of their goodness, because they are truthful. Even if something false is put in their mind, they'll be ready to give up their lives for that, whereas the educated people are sitting at homes and they set the fires, light the fires, and then watch people burning in them. So Huzur is saying that I hope that this Ahmadis, when Ahmadis take this to the general public of Shiites, then their reaction will most certainly be in favor of the Holy Prophet ﷺ's companions and his wives, the blessed wives, and they will stop trying to dishonor these people, and they will be able to honor them. Now Huzur is saying that I'm going to return to that verse 166 to 167. The reason why it was revealed, it says that at the Battle of Uhud, the problems that the Muslims encountered was because they took ransom in the Battle of Badr. This is such a strange reference in Asbabun Nuzul. Some commentator has presented this and it's got absolutely nothing to do with this. I cannot accept that Umar Zanhu would say something like this, which is exactly against the Holy Quran. The Quran is saying that the problem occurred because the Holy Prophet ﷺ was disobeyed and you didn't listen to him, and as a result of that all the problem occurred. And to go and associate it with Badr and to say that it's because they took ransom, the ransom was taken by the Holy Prophet ﷺ. So in taking the blame from them, those people who disobeyed, to transfer it to the one who used to obey Allah, this is completely false, and this because it is clashing with the Holy Quran and with the noble character of the Holy Prophet ﷺ.
मुस्तशरिकीन ने भी ये बात लिखी है और मुसलमान मुफस्सिरीन ने भी कि जंगे
in reference to the verse we just said, the Orientalists have written this, and Muslim commentators as well, that in the Battle of Badr 70 enemies were the members of the enemy were killed. So mislahim, what does mislahim mean? That was twice as much. So they think that this means that there was no one was imprisoned of the Muslims, whereas 70 of them were killed and 70 were imprisoned. So those 70 also came under them. So 140 you gave pain to, and the 70 who were harmed or who died, they also gained the status of eternal life of martyrdom. So they say that this is what mislaha means. They're saying that they think that izn means Allah's destiny, which has a kind of an association with a force. Izn means permission. Uzna lillazina yuqatiluna bi'annahum zulimu is also permission, and uzna is used in other places as well as permission. Therefore, if in Surah Hajj, if with reference to Qital, if uzna is regarded to mean command, then this is a well-known usage of this. Izn also means to give permission. So somebody enters with somebody's izn, somebody's permission, not without their permission. This is the same meaning. So I am insistent on this, that here uzna, bi'iznillah, does not mean that Allah had made the decision as it was a forcible destiny that had to come true. In fact, Allah says, Allah kulli shay'in qadir, that if Allah had decided not to let it harm you, it wouldn't have harmed you, but due to some reason, Allah permitted that you should suffer the consequences of your mistake, and this resulted, there were many benefits associated with that. وَلَمَّا أَصَابَتْكُم مُّصِيبَةٌ, who's saying that I'm trying to look at all the commentators, the same discussion. 70 Muslims were martyred, 70 idolaters were killed, or 70 were imprisoned. All of them are repeating the same things. Imam Razi rejects this, that it was because of Badr. Imam Razi said that the first verse said that this was because of their own selves and because of their sin. In this verse it is being said that this problem occurred because of some other reason, which was that there should be a distinction between the believer and the hypocrite. Here what Imam Razi is saying that I'm sure he doesn't have any contradiction in his mind. He means that there is an extra reason, and this has to do with the same subject, which is which I have said, which means permission. So Allah did not let this problem occur for no reason. There was a reason for it, and that reason was that at this occasion the believers, there should be a different distinction between the believers, the true believers, and the hypocrites. But it doesn't just have to do with that particular incident. This is what I wish to explain to you. It has only to do with the problem. Why was there a pain? Allah permitted it because later on the Holy Quran makes it very clear that as a result of giving the pain, the distinction between the hypocrites and the believers, it includes those hypocrites who were not who were in the Battle of Badr. Huzur is saying that I don't wish to tie this with the incident at the valley, because what happened at the Battle of Uhud, there was another wisdom behind it, which was that after this battle, the hypocrites should be completely distinct from the believers. And this is the real subject which I think is correct, and I shall prove it afterwards. This is why Imam Razi does not regard izn as a command. He regards it to mean in his knowledge. As it says, وَأَذَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ. This is a declaration from Allah, and Imam Razi is also saying that it means permission. So, but there it is a declaration, is not a command. So it is not correct that there the meaning should be permission. In Surah Tawbah, the declaration from Allah, for that the word izn is used, and azan is also derived from that as a it is an announcement whether people want to accept it or not. So it is up it, and then it said, Huzur is reading the Arabic, all of these mean knowledge. فَازَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ. So it is not a command that you should definitely fight Allah. So be ready to fight Allah. You can either fight with Allah or you can repent. So here there is a permission, or that somebody is able to do something if they want to. Ibn Abbas says that izn means the destiny of Allah and Allah's command. He said that this is more applicable, because if it is said, then the Muslims will be consoled that okay, if it was destiny, then it was fine. But here he's saying that I disagree with Imam Razi because the Holy Quran does not console in this way. These are matters of great deep wisdom, and one should bow one's head before destiny, but the pains is still there, and you say that okay, if it's Allah's destiny, then that's fine. But if the wisdom is explained as to why it happened, then the true consolation is found. So here to say that it means destiny is not correct, whereas afterwards Allah is telling us the actual reason afterwards, after saying isn't, the reason is being given. So if it's taken to mean destiny, then there is no reason for Allah to mention what's coming afterwards.
ये कहते हैं,
he says,
तफसीर महासिन में अल्लामा मोहम्मद जलालुद्दीन अल-क़ासिमी लिखते हैं कि कुदरत के ज़िक्र में, यानी क़दीर के ज़िक्र में,
when Qadir is mentioned, that this happened due to Allah's destiny, that is, if He wanted to, He could have removed it from you. Therefore, you should not trust in something strange because from something outside. So Huzur is saying that to say Qadir, what I said was correct, that if Allah wanted to remove it, He could have removed it. It was not because of some destiny which was predestined. It was because of your own mistake, and Allah permitted it to happen. He says in the Shiite discussion, so commentary, Mir Ahmad Isali said the thing that he explains is that the whole gist of what he's saying is that this verse proves, and with the verses before, that Allah regarded the problems of Uhud, faced at Uhud, Allah let it happen because of a distinction between, in order to make a distinction between the hypocrites and the believers. And this happened so that there should be a distinction, such a distinction that after that there is no doubt, and that distinction has been made, and Hazrat Ali on his own came out as the believer, and about all of them, all of the rest, the Battle of Uhud became the mausoleum for the hypocrites, for all of the rest of them, and it was and this is what the Shiite commentators are presenting. This is the gist of what they are presenting. In contradiction to this, what is the Holy Quran saying? Let us hear that. وَلِيَعْلَمَ الَّذِينَ نَافَقُوا is after that, another verse after that. وَقِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا قَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَادْفَعُوا قَالُوا لَوْ نَعْلَمُ قِتَالًا لَتَبَّعْنَاكُمْ, so that Allah recognizes the believers and recognizes the hypocrites as well. And how did Allah recognize the hypocrites? This is what is also mentioned. وَقِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا قَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. They were told that come, let fight in the cause of Allah or defend. قَالُوا لَوْ نَعْلَمُ قِتَالًا لَتَبَعْنَاكُمْ. If we knew how to fight, we would definitely have come with you. So all of these people who were in the Battle of Uhud, was it these people? God is telling you who they were, and that Allah recognized the believers and the hypocrites, and the distinguishing mark is that the hypocrites are those who returned and said we don't know how to fight, and they are the companions of Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul, which is being mentioned clearly. And that day they were nearer to disbelief than belief. They were saying from their tongues what was not in their hearts, and Allah knows best what they try to hide. And then after this they are mentioned who in the battle of Uhud, who died in the battle of Uhud. They have been told, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. But these we shall do afterwards, because now Huzur is saying that I have just seen. I am saying this because I know that now the time is, there is only about half a minute left. So inshallah, tomorrow we shall return to these verses and we shall tell you all the other things to do with them.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah.